Alrighty, guys. Alex Deanda here, Conservatives of Texas, EST 2019. We're here having a show today with Melinda and Rivera. How you doing today, Melinda?
I am great, amigo. Thank you for having me tonight. It's been a while since we've had a good conversation.
Yeah, for sure. I know you've been really busy out there in Lubbock and doing all kinds of things across the state. So keep up the good work. And so the reason we're here today is to speak on something that occurred out of Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And so before we get into that, I do want to go over some of the things. But before we even do that, let's go ahead and start in prayer, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, dear Father in heaven, we love you, Lord, and we just pray today that this discussion will help those that are going to be watching in the future or even today, Lord Father. We just want to speak peace and truth, Lord Father. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All righty. So remember, guys, Conservatives of Texas, our website is just that. Just add the .org to it, and we meet here monthly every third Thursday at 2700 Southeast 34th at 7 p.m. We discuss local issues and also other things going on around the state. So as I said before, today's guest is Melinda Rivera. She's the president of LUCA, which is Latinos United for Conservative Action, and they have over 5,000 followers. And how long have you guys been out so far? 2 years, or how long has it been?
Right. Well, I mean, when we were Por de Latino, and that's been like 5 years, and we just rebranded to LUCA,
Right.
which stands for the Latinos United for Conservative Action. Por de Latino was invited to the White House under Trump many times.
Yeah.
And so, but we're very proud. We're very proud of this organization. It is growing like wildfire right now. Our California team is almost 20 members deep alone out there in the communities, fighting hard, fighting against, everything that goes against against God, against the good for the people, pro-life. I mean, they show up to the schools for the children. They get out there and they canvass and block walk for, our endorsed candidates out there, show up to special sessions. I mean, you name it. And they are fighting, and they just keep adding and adding more people all the time. Like I just had to announce 2 more members coming from California today, north, south. I mean, obviously California is a big state, and especially here in Texas. Our Arizona team is fantastic, and they're really working hard at the border. They're working very closely with great conservative candidates for office, pro-life. I mean, they show up to all of the Republican meetings. They're just so in depth and so involved. And that's what LUCA stands for. We are Latinos. We are uniting. That's our main goal, is to unite every American, no matter what color, race, creed you are. We want to unite, because united, we're going to stand as a country, and divided, we're going to fall. And Latinos are naturally conservative, so we really share our conservative values out there. And the action part is, that's the big part, is because we're doing the work in the communities that we have failed for so long to do. And that's why we are watching what's failing in our communities, for sure.
Yeah, that's very important to get in the grassroots efforts. And it's great that you're so expanded out there,
Yes.
And you're right. Latinos are naturally, we just have great work ethic, and we are conservative just by our DNA, always have been.
And we're having to wake up a lot more, of the Latinos and show them that the Democrat Party is not for us. They haven't been for us, and they don't carry our values at all.
That's right. And,
it's very easy to see in their policies.
Yeah, for sure. And when I first met you, you were, I don't know if you're still attached to anything with New Mexico or anything like that. So is that still up and going out of New Mexico? I know that's a deep blue state, so I know the battleground there is heavy.
Absolutely. I'm actually the founder of New Mexico. And it is still going strong. As a matter of fact, my brother Tony, who's our founder and CEO, actually running for mayor right now of Lubbock, and election early voting was today and election Saturday. So, but he said, no, we need to carry on New Mexico because New Mexico has really been the forgotten state. So we did a lot of work over there, just educating our citizens of the importance of getting involved, power in the people, and doing what it takes. So New Mexico, he's like, no, we need to keep New Mexico connected to LUCA, and I am, because I'm his campaign manager right now, for mayor. As soon as we're done there, I've got people in building a team in New Mexico. They're angry, they're frustrated, they're tired. New Mexico is literally the communist state. It really is. They're passing. I mean, she's just opening special sessions so they can pass gun laws that go against every Second Amendment right that the citizens have. The Secretary of State is currently trying to just make mail-in ballots the way to vote now in every election. And they just pass things, they just do things without the people. They don't care. It's really bad. So, but what I'm proud of is, if I can just share this real quick, and it shows the power of the people. I guess Albuquerque at a high school, they had just like a stripper, a drag, show. All the parents showed up. They showed up. They were angry at prom. This is a prom. And when the parents showed up, well, I'm so glad they got rid of the person in charge at the school. They brought in somebody in the interim, says, we can't have this. So, that goes to show, they're in Albuquerque, that the power is behind the parents. The power is behind the people. And that is everything, the epitome of what LUCA stands for. It's about we the people, and we're back. We've really had to show and share and learn on the way what it means for the people to actually be in power of their own government, because that's the way it's supposed to be. And because we were uneducated in what that work actually looks like, right? We didn't know. I don't think our parents knew. And a lot of our grandparents didn't show up either, that I can remember. So we can really see the fall of the power in the people, the American dream, everything. We've become powerless more than anything in this country. So that's what we're doing.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I know that not too long ago there was an issue with a Second Amendment issue there in New Mexico. She was trying to enforce and infringe, and the sheriffs actually stood up to her, saying, "No, ma'am." And I think that was a great example of what they do, because they're actually the constitutional enforcement. So I don't know if you remember any of that, but that was kind of a big deal.
I mean, they did say that they can't enforce it, but she's still pushing things. So it hasn't gone away. And I think somebody like her, and this is my opinion, somebody like her needs to be held responsible for the violation of the Second Amendment, for the violation of the Constitution and the people. And it's like, she's still sitting in that governor's chair. She's still just opening special sessions and just passing whatever she wants. Right. So this fight is not over. It's not in the clear, especially when somebody as tyrannical as her and her administration, the Secretary of State, when it comes to election integrity, is still in the seat. It is not. The work isn't done.
Right. Well, I love what your website and what your Facebook says. It attaches the kingdom of heaven and the love of Jesus Christ. And I really believe, Melinda, that the reason you don't see a lot of stick factor is because for some odd reason, they made that taboo to attach Christ to things. And tell us a little bit about that conviction. Why is it so important to LUCA and to you as the president that is attached? Because you don't hardly see that anymore. We have it on ours and things of that nature. And when I see that on others, and like I said, it doesn't happen a lot. When I seen it on yours, I'm thinking, man, what a breath of fresh air. Yes. Tell us a little bit about your love for Christ and why that is so, so very important to you guys.
Absolutely. Well, God has been taken out of our country, amigo, and we have seen that it's been taken out of. I mean, when you're a Christian and you love Christ and you know God, it has to be at the forefront of everything that we do. And this, it clearly says it on our money. It says it everywhere. We are one nation under God. And we have failed. I mean, when they took it out of our schools, look at the decline of our children. Look at the decline of this generation. I see so many, even in my own family, sadly, say that the reason why that this whole country is messed up is because people like myself believe in this fake God in the sky that doesn't exist, and because of politics. And literally, I mean, my heart dropped, my mouth, I mean, it broke my heart. And this was somebody in my own family that said this. And so we have lost our way. And so it is time. The spiritual battle is so clear. When we're seeing drag queens that look scary inside of elementary schools, reading to our children, drag schools being put on for, they're after our kids.
Oh, yeah.
And, Christianity is under attack, period. Not just in America, but around the world. And so we have to make sure, because where there isn't God, Satan, it just walks right in. And we can just clearly see the disgusting evilness that has taken over our communities, our country. And, by those, and my statement is, we get behind the candidates that understand that they don't hold the power. Just because you're a politician doesn't mean you have power for anything. We get behind the candidates that understand that only God holds the power, and that they're going to govern, understanding that, they are civil servants, understanding that power is within God, and to govern underneath, what that really stands for. And we have to put God at the forefront, at the center of everything. Amen. He loves it. He is the only one that is going to be able to bring any type of, peace and salvation to what we are watching. And we need to come together and pray. That's right. We have to get on our knees. We have to hold hands. We have to literally pray over our communities, pray over our children that they're after, and pray over our country. Because when, like under Trump, when we remember Trump, when he was in office, only then, was he the biggest, man of God, Christian? No, he was a sinner, but, God used all the sinners, brother. He doesn't go to the light. He goes into the dark to bring the light, right? And that's why LUCA stands for bringer of the light. We're not going to just, we're not here just to seek out those that already have the light, that understand the light. We have to go into the dark and shine the light. And so in our communities, we have to confront those that do not understand that God is the only way.
That's amazing.
And save the children. And that's why we, LUCA being the bringer of light and what we stand for is very important. And that's what that is completely, that is our work, and that's what we share.
That's great. Well, Exodus 18:21 speaks clearly when Jethro was instructing Moses how to find these leaders. And he says they have to fear God and be haters of covetousness. And those are requirements, you know what I mean? So it does say that you have to fear God. And so the reason we were here, guys, is I was keeping up with some of the things that you guys were doing out there. And I know that you guys had a situation there in Fort Worth a while back, or Arlington with Six Flags about a year ago. And you guys were victorious in that. And they were doing some things out there. Six Flags, it's a place for family, right? And so you guys got involved with that. And now we had something else go on in Fort Worth, and it really wraps around freedom of speech. So tell us a little bit as to what this is and what was going on, and just help our guests understand what is going on there. What happened?
Well, so our North Texas team, which they are fantastic, our Texas State Executive Director there, and Abel Garcia, who loves LUCA. It's a part of LUCA, and he is a detransitioner. So he is somebody that transitioned from a male to female, and is detransitioning from that, and really speaks of the dangers of what that is. And he wants to educate the people out there of what this process is really about, what it does to you, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. So I mean, and he has been a guest across all of Texas. He was a big part of SB 14, right, where Texas signed the bill in that you can't just take a child and have them mutilated,
Right.
under these. So he was a big part of that push in education side, because he went through that procedure,
Mm-hmm.
and he talks about the dangers of it. And so it was an educational forum, an event, especially because what happened at Six Flags, where they just had transgender shows out in the public, where children are just walking by. Some parents were sitting there with their children watching these drag shows and whatnot, and that's why we really went to go fight. And so the event was, we signed 2 months ago before it was even started, and paid the deposit. We did everything. We have co-sponsors, right, that wanted to be a part of this with us, because it's a very important educational matter,
Mm-hmm.
that people need to understand what it's like to actually transition and then detransition.
Sure.
And the pain that they go through, again, the emotional and mental psyche that comes with that, it's bad. It's horrible for them. And so just it's the same thing. If when we used to teach in sexual education, this is what HIV is, this is what sexual, so if you do this is what can happen, and it's painful, it can even kill you. It's called education, and you have the right to share that, because you want to inform the public, you want to save children, you want to save people from going through such a horrific experience. And that's what he was there to do. That's what he's done across the state. And so but our events director gets a phone call, and a day or 2 days before the event is supposed to actually happen,
Right.
and said that they finally looked into this, and that that it was discriminatory, that we were discriminating against transgenders, and that that we cannot have it there. And there's nothing discriminatory about education, nothing.
Right.
And so they canceled it, and didn't care. And the guy even said, "I'm looking at your website, it's hateful. You guys, it's very hateful against a group of people. It's very like we were just being horrible toward," and we weren't. Our event was to educate about the process. And again, Abel's done this many times. Nothing different.
Yeah.
And so they canceled it. And there was a lady, and she was on the news. They brought her on the news, that said, she's afraid. She's like, and we're terrified of these type of people. So we wrote the mayor, city council. They all agreed that this was a violation against our First Amendment rights. We have the right to speak out and educate. Right. We have the right to share experiences, to help educate the public of what this. I mean, and this is a member of the LGBTQ community. This is somebody who was a transgender, somebody. So we weren't discriminating, we weren't hating. He is somebody that went through the process and just wanted to educate the people of the dangers before they decide to mutilate their children or go through it themselves. So and they try to paint our organization as being a hateful and discriminating organization, which we are not at all.
Right. And I've heard for the longest time the term trans regret, where these folks will come out 4 or 5, 6 years later, and they're devastated. Their lives they're just devastated, and you hear the grief in their spirit.
Yeah.
And I want to key in on that. It's even deeper than their heart. You see the grief in their spirit, and what Abel is doing in trying to reach these folks, and just to say, hey, look, I've been there, done that. He could really, really connect, and it is educational, because the comprehensive cost
Right.
in the damages down the road in these items. I mean, good grief, guys. I mean,
I know.
you know, Congress
I mean,
says
he has
this.
the right, but to shut down one voice over the other because you don't agree with it,
Yeah, that's what I find interesting.
no.
How come it's
That is a violation of
yes?
our First Amendment
If
right. That's a
anything,
violation of people's of First Amendment
it
right.
is. It is.
You know, they made a decision and a choice to hear out this woman that said, you know, this is hate. This is, you know, discriminatory. No, it
Hmm.
isn't. It's educational.
Right.
And we're not hating. We're just educating on what this process looks like. So for the city to literally make a decision, you know, and literally tell my events director, I'm looking at your website. Like he
Hmm.
wanted to, you know, it's very hateful. He didn't have the right to make that,
Right.
you know, to put that perspective out there.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
the mayor, when, you know, we gave her a timeline and we asked her to make a public statement, which she did.
Hmm.
And all she did was put it on the city manager. Um, you know, we are not absolutely thrilled with her public statement and her response. There was somebody else that did call our state executive director and said, well, and even her, well, maybe we'll find you a different venue.
Hmm.
Well, if you're willing to find us a different venue, then just let us use this venue. It's a
Right.
city venue. It should make zero set, you know, that made zero sense.
Mm.
And we literally had no, I mean, they admitted, you know, we do have people that admitted, yeah, this could clearly be, you know, the violation of First Amendment right. Even the Fort Worth, I have to remember the article, but they had a constitutional um, professional on there, and he says this is clearly
Hmm.
a violation of LUCA's First Amendment right, because the city made their own decision to choose one voice over the other and to say, well, we think that, you know, this person is correct and we're going to shut you up because they feel threatened. She said she felt scared, but didn't go into detail of how she felt scared. And mind you, they did release the name of my event director, the city did, because they showed up to her house to
Wow.
protest. And there was a big sign that says, Lucas hate is not welcome in Fort Worth. You know, she's got children. She's got a special needs child, and they show
Hmm.
up. That is horrible that the
What's
city would release her personal address.
What's odd about that, Melinda, is that the government can shut you down if there's imminent danger on freedom of speech types of issues. When it comes to, you know, someone saying, "Hey, you know, there's a burning building," when there's really not. And
Yeah.
what these people are doing by going to this individual's home, that's the irony in this whole thing. They should have been shut down immediately because that's exactly what they were doing. They were
Oh,
presenting
exactly.
imminent danger. So that's so odd.
And she said you know, this woman says she was afraid and she was in danger, but she
Yeah, put
was
her. Yeah.
screaming at my events director at her home early in the morning, screaming at her with profanity.
Hmm.
Who's scared?
Yeah.
Who should be
Exactly.
scared of who? You
Exactly.
know,
Exactly.
she was unhinged, and you
Right.
showed up to my event director's home. How did you
Hmm.
even get her address?
Yeah. It sounds like they were
So
trying to dox her too. Yeah.
what's that?
Sound like they were trying to dox the events
Oh no, they absolutely
coordinator
did.
also.
They
Yeah.
absolutely did. And
Wow.
so, you know, I think that, you know, the city, they had a big meeting on it, city council. I mean, they understand the position that they're in.
Hmm.
And LUCA, I mean, again, our organization, we are loud, we are proud, and we are for the voiceless. And this is
Hmm.
exactly an issue that we are not going to just sit idle, you know,
Yeah.
and allow. I mean, Fort Worth is literally the last major red city. We don't have
Hmm.
Dallas anymore. We don't have Houston. We don't have San Antonio. We don't have Austin.
Yeah. Their eyes have been
And
set on Tarrant County for a bit now.
so,
And
you know, LUCA stands for that. We stand up and we
yeah.
and the people get involved for the community because again, the power is in the people.
Right.
And so, you know, this we are not the organization that is just going to sit idle and allow this to happen because it is, you know, it is exactly what we do. This is exactly what we stand up to. You know,
Good.
anything in the communities, we always tell the citizens, if there is anything in the community that you want to bring to LUCA's attention so that we get out there and protest. We show up to special sessions. We show up to school board meetings. We show up.
Yeah.
And we bring the people with us because, again, it is we the people, and we are back. So, this issue is not done.
Right.
Because what's going to be next, amigo?
Mm-hmm.
What are they going to be shutting? Somebody else going to come and complain in the city of Fort Worth? Like, well, kind of makes them uncomfortable. What makes us uncomfortable that you showed up to my event director's home?
Yeah, exactly. When they establish any kind of footing, that's very, very dangerous because you can't.
And she's worried about us, which we didn't do that. We were there for educational purposes.
Mm-hmm.
We were there to share. Again, this is not Abel's first rodeo. Abel has traveled the state of Texas and done this. So this was a personal attack. This was a personal attack on our First Amendment rights.
Mm-hmm.
And, we know that the city council and those in the city, they just want to throw it on the back of the city manager, but that's not good enough.
Right. Yeah. Well, let me read this First Amendment as it's set in our Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. And I want to just kind of bounce off of the framing of that. I have 4 little talking points that I got off of First Amendment Constitution 101 off of National Constitution Center off of YouTube, and it's great, and it's going to fit in perfectly. So let's just bounce off of these real quick, Melinda. The framing of that. Number 1, freedom of conscience is an unalienable right because people have the right and the duty to think for themselves. So how powerful is that? The unalienable right. So
very powerful.
The conscience
and they
that you
shut
have.
ours down. I mean, they shut that right for us.
The conviction that Abel has in presenting these truths, and it's not his opinion. This is actually things that the data will prove. Yes, exactly. The biology will prove it. And they're taking it and they stripped away his conviction.
Absolutely, they did. And no matter they wouldn't even give us the opportunity to even share that. I mean, they just said, nope, it's hateful. It's, you guys are discriminating. You're a hateful group. And therefore you're done. Just like that.
So
and Abel didn't have his opportunity that day but very graciously, the candidate, John O'Shea, opened up his office for us, and we just moved the event over there.
We're good. Yeah. Well, the next one here says free speech makes representatives accountable to we the people. So
exactly.
Hearing the breath of fire coming out of your your lungs, the representatives that really just took a sidestep or even took position to, take the side. Yeah. So sounds like your group is really going to probably look into some of these folks that really didn't stand up for you guys. I mean, how awful is that when the representation, Tarrant County, they have a individual by the name of VZ, that's a far left-leaning representative, and that just goes to show you that side of the equation could care less about our freedom of speech.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
and they're bullies. I mean, they're the ones that are bullies. Again, this woman showed up to my event director's home, screaming profanity at her in front of her children. At her home early in the morning. They are bullies. And then turn around and play victim. We're terrified. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
That is horror. And that's just what bullies do. So, but again, LUCA is not the organization. This is what, LUCA was formed to stand up to the government for the people, by the people, because that is exactly our constitutional right. And too many of these officials. So we have, we have spoken to everybody. Our state executive director and our other members there have done a fantastic job. And so Tony and I he being the founder and I'm the president, and our council, I mean, at the executive
Yeah.
level. Again, this situation, especially with our First Amendment right, will not sit idle. And I had the absolute honor to meet Congressman Jim Jordan.
Wow.
And we know what a fighter he is.
Yeah.
Right? He is a patriot, the most patriotic American. I mean, I watch his congressional hearings live just because he's a mentor to me. And I love his feistiness, the fire in him, for the love for our country and his voice for people. And I got to ask him, at an event, we got to ask him questions, and he was right in front of me. I had to sit right in front of him. And that is, it's funny because this was before this event. And that was my question to him, because I watched the whole congressional session about Twitter execs and all of them shutting down our First Amendments, our Facebook. And I shared with him, our Secretary of State of New Mexico is on a board. We have emails, we wrote a letter to you hoping that she would be brought in for questioning for violating a New Mexican's First Amendment rights, and anybody else, that dared said anything against them that would be the truth. And let me tell you what he shared. He says, by far, this is the very issue that is close, that he is so passionate about, was the First Amendment rights. Because if this country loses that, we are no longer a free country. Freedom of speech is absolutely the pinnacle of what freedom is.
Right.
And so, it was ironic that, I got to speak with him and meet him, and that was my question. And then weeks later, this happens to our organization. We have to write him an email and let him know what happened and say, look at this, Congressman. Look at what happened to our organization just weeks after I asked you about that. And when he shared that whole case is sitting at the Supreme Court, so we, the people, just have to sit idle and be like, well, are they going to just continue to take our First Amendment rights away? Or, social media. But we're slowly watching it within our communities. And that's where we have to fight the hardest.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned these corporations, and I think, I heard a phrase before called corporate communism, and they try to subvert the Constitution by going through these corporations and limiting, their employees to being able to have a voice of anything, because they say you represent us even when you're off, or whatever the case is, or they won't move into cities because they say you have to be under these SEGs. It's horrific because they subvert the Constitution, and people need to really be aware of these types of companies that want to set up shop in your area, and you have to stand up to these types of measures, because that's exactly what it is. It's corporate communism. Yeah. Yeah. So, where are we presently with that? I mean, are you guys just waiting to hear back from some city officials to? I mean, is this
absolutely we are, and we're working on things at an executive level. Like I said, things are still developing, and we will share that as they develop. But like I said, LUCA is not sitting idle, and we will not just take it and be quiet. So this is an ongoing issue. And again, we will, I ask everybody to follow our website, follow all of our pages, because we will be updating everybody as we move forward and proceed with ensuring that this is taken care of, and that it absolutely does not ever happen again.
For sure. Well, Melinda, thank you for taking some time to discuss that. I think it's imperative that people learn and understand what's going on. Hosea chapter 4, verse 6 says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. And this is some information that people need to be aware of that is occurring throughout our state. And Fort Worth, like you said, it's definitely a battleground. It's one of the last of the Mohicans of the red areas.
Big cities,
for that to happen there. I mean, you would expect this in Houston or Dallas, Austin, but really Fort Worth.
But there's more. I mean, we had to go protest a church that, was giving grant money to bus children out of the state. Wow. We saw another church that is for, the LGBTQ. I mean, they aren't churches, obviously, to you and I, and to our Christian anybody. So, I mean, there's so much more going on there. But again, this is, we have a great team, and we're asking, I mean, it's we the people. We need to stand together. We have to, people are joining left and right because they see that the power is in the people. And they see that we're very successful when we get involved. Like I said, our California team is on fire, and they are growing all the time. And so, we've been very successful in many things that we've been fighting over there. So people see that success, and they're understanding the message of we the people and what the work, we have to educate our leaders over there, our team, our familia, LUCA familia, they go into the communities with our brochures, and they talk to the people. And that's what we have to do. We have, they wanted to divide us, and they wanted to shut us up, right? If you wore a Make America hat, you were an enemy. People get punched in the face. They want us divided. They want us to not talk to each other, but we don't stop talking.
Yeah.
And we don't stop fighting.
Well, that's terrific. I'm glad that you guys are hitting the grassroots level and getting inside, where the people are, knocking on the doors, and you're being effective. These board members, when it comes to the school districts and the colleges and the universities, watch out. LUCA's here, right? So, that's good news. That's good news. So how can people get a hold of you guys? Your website, I put it on the ticker here, but
yes, our website, you can Google LUCA, Latinos United for Conservative Action. You'll find all of our platforms. We're on every single one of them: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. We even have a TikTok. You can also text 806-860-5550 and just say, I want to join. Let me know, let us know what state you're in. We are putting teams together. Like I said, we are about to do some major growing. That's what we're doing. So you can definitely do that, and then just let us know, and we'll get you in contact with our state executive directors. We'll go over the process, and we invite you with open arms. We have to do this ourselves. Like I tell everybody, nobody's coming to save us. Nobody. We have to save ourselves, and there is a way of doing it, and that's what we educate on. There's a lot of patriotic people out there that understand that the people should have the power, and the power is in the people, and get out there and work.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let us know here at Conservatives of Texas if there's any way that we can help you guys here where we're at in Amarillo. We'd love to help you guys, and y'all have helped us in some things, and so we really appreciate you guys, you and Antonio.
That's what we're here for. I mean, we have to lock arms with other organizations, and you guys are great. And that's how we grow as well. We have to come together. It's not just about us, again, the uniting part. Latinos, we're just here to share our culture, and because we're becoming the majority, we just want to share and unite with every American. And, so even with other organizations, because that's how we're going to, bring the power back to the people is great organizations like you too, amigo.
Well, thank you so much. And so Conservatives of Texas, please be looking out for our next meeting. We're going to be having a workshop with a town hall with our assistant city manager, Floyd Hartman, May 16th at 7 p.m. We're going to be discussing the 10-year plan with the North Heights area. They have some water pressure issues, infrastructure, and they're on a 10-year plan, and we just kind of want to get community connect and understand what that 10-year plan is going to look like. So y'all, please link up and come out and see that. And like Melinda says, y'all check out her website and join LUCA and get involved. And sounds like you're going to get some big calves working and getting into those neighborhoods. That's what I always say. Big calves always beat big wallets because it's grassroots.
Yes,
Melinda,
absolutely. That's where it is.
Thank you so much, and you have a great night, okay?
You too. God bless you. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.